Hello and welcome back to Alice Talks Football. I'm about a minute early to the stream, so I will obviously wait for you guys to join before I get into the news. But this is a transfer news update video. My computer is making a really loud, annoying noise. It's going like shh. I'm sorry if that's been picked up on the mic. I'm sorry if you can hear an annoying noise. I do apologise, but this is going to be a Man United transfer news update, and there's a lot to talk about. Some reliable journalists, some journalists with links directly with Manchester United have come out and said some pretty interesting news regarding Manchester United and transfers. We're going to be talking about Jack Grealish. Could Jack Grealish happen to Manchester United in the summer? You know, some reliable sources have said that Manchester United still are in for Jack Grealish. We know Man United need a centre-back. We know a centre-back is Manchester United's first choice transfer target. So will Man United be getting a centre-back in the summer? Who is Man United's first choice centre-back signing, and which centre-back is likely to join Manchester United in the summer? We're also going to be talking about a few other players. Kylian Mbappe to Manchester United. There's a few rumours. I'll debunk that. I mean, there is a little bit of truth in there, but I will look at that. Erling Haaland to Manchester United. Is this Erling Haaland, Harry Kane, Kylian Mbappe to Manchester United stories actually credible, or is it just a load of crap? Could Man United get Mbappe, or is it a load of crap? We will talk about that. But we're mostly going to be talking about three players. But we will look at also later on in the stream the Manchester United team news, who's going to be injured for the City game or not. But obviously Edmond Tapsoda, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name. You know I'm all for pronouncing names, but thank you for the super sticker due to again. I'm awful at pronouncing names, but yeah, we've been linked to a Bayer Leverkusen centre back who could be a cheap alternative to Kounde. We've been linked to Jack Grealish. We've even been linked to Leon Bailey, and we've been linked to a lot of people. So we're talking about Mbappe, Grealish, and more. So I want to get straight into the transfer news and just get into what was said, and then have a look at some of you guys' comments. But official says Tapsoda is a good signing. I did say we need two centre-backs, but Varane is priority. For me, I'd love two centre-backs, but it's Man United. We can only dream. We are linked to attackers, and for me, as much as I'd love a top attacker, for me, centre-back has got to come before. So the first story I'm going to talk about came from Laurie Whitwell last night, and he said three things. So the first thing he said, which is I think is quite important, is that Manchester United retain a firm interest in Aston Villa's Jack Grealish. That came from Laurie Whitwell, The Athletic, and I believe that is true. We know Solskjaer's a big admirer of Grealish. We know Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants Grealish, but will Man United actually pay for Grealish? Because we wanted him so badly last summer that I think last summer Grealish was more of a priority than he is this summer, and we didn't get Grealish last summer. And now this summer, Grealish is a signing we want, but he's less of a priority. I think a centre-back's the first choice priority this summer, and Grealish will cost more. So we could have got Grealish for less last summer when he was more of a priority. So I think that we're interested in Grealish. I think Solskjaer's dream would be Grealish. We know Solskjaer likes Grealish. I think our only chance of getting Grealish is if Pogba goes. But obviously, the Athletic say that Man United still have a firm interest in Jack Grealish. That came from Laurie Whitwell. But the interesting thing that came from Laurie Whitwell, which I'm going to talk about a little bit in this video because I think this is really interesting, and it does confuse me a little bit. But he says Erling Haaland is Manchester United's prime target up front, but United could be in conversation with Kylian Mbappe too if PSG failed to win the Champions League. Harry Kane is also admired. So Laurie Whitwell, who gets his sources of information directly from Manchester United, which is quite weird, says that Haaland is the prime target. But if PSG don't win the Champions League, Mbappe is a big target too, and we want to start conversations with Mbappe. And he also says that Harry Kane is admired. Now, I will have a look at your guys' comments, but what I think is that, Man United aren't in a great run of form right now. And obviously the source of information that says we want Haaland, we want Kane, we want Grealish, we want Sancho, we want Mbappe, the source of information that says that we're interested in all these players, is a source that gets their information from the club. And I do think Man United not playing well, a lot of negativity around the club, a lot of talk about the transfer window, we need to sign players, we need to improve. Could the club be leaking stories again to try and boost positivity? Like, what do you guys think? And remember to slap a like on this video if you've just joined and subscribe if you're new. But Mbappe will be hard, I do agree. And but the thing about Kylian Mbappe is Real Madrid cannot afford Mbappe in the summer. Barcelona are just a state cup right now. They cannot afford Mbappe. PSG obviously, have Mbappe, but does he want to get out of the French league? Probably. The only clubs that can really afford Mbappe is Man United probably can afford Mbappe, but we'll pretend we can't. So that's Chelsea, possibly Bayern Munich, Juventus, Man City. I don't think Liverpool could either. So if Mbappe does want to leave PSG, I don't think Real Madrid and Barcelona are realistic options for him. Musa says hi. Why do we need Grealish if we have Van der Beek? That's a very good point from official. I think the thing is with we got Van der Beek because he was a cheap alternative to Grealish, and the board didn't want to get Grealish. So Grealish was Ollie's first choice. Grealish was Ollie's first choice last summer, and Ollie really wanted Grealish last summer. And the board went, you can have Van der Beek, he's 30 million cheaper. And obviously Ollie didn't want Van der Beek, as you can see, because Van der Beek isn't playing. But the thing is, obviously Grealish plays a very different position to Van der Beek. Grealish plays on the left, Grealish is a number 10, Grealish plays in the Rashford and Bruno role. It means that, like, as much as I love Grealish, Grealish does play in the Rashford and Bruno role. And I think a CDM and a centre-back is much more of a priority over Grealish. So it does worry me that Manchester United's priorities are like Mbappe, Haaland, Kane, Grealish, because as much as I love all those players and they're brilliant players, I still think it's not going to solve the biggest issue at Manchester United, which is the centre-back. For me, it needs to go centre-back, CDM, right winger, then we can look at striker, then we can look at a Grealish, in my opinion. So even though Man United retain an interest in Grealish, last summer Grealish was a number one priority. This summer, he's on the list, but, centre-back and CDM are priorities. Do we need Grealish? So we have Van der Beek. I think Grealish is a very different player to Van der Beek, but the board didn't think so. Forget Mbappe, that won't happen. I do agree. I don't think Mbappe will happen. Remember to give this video a like, subscribe, share it with your friends. Plus, Mbappe would cost a fortune. That's the thing. I'm actually going to get into one more thing that was said by Laurie Whitwell. Let me read it out here. He says, sources, so this has come from the club. Laurie Whitwell gets his information from the club. He said, sources expect only one marquee signing to arrive at Manchester United in the summer. Two at a push, with the rest dependent on players being sold. So saying, okay, we're only going to get one big signing. If a player's sold, two, maybe. That's what he's saying. So the thing is, our number one priority is a centre-back. But if Manchester United go for Mbappe, who we probably won't get, and, it's probably a rumour beneath the club, if we go for Haaland, who is now Man United's number one priority, that means we're less likely to go all out for a centre-back. And as much as I love Haaland, as much as I love Grealish, as much as I love Kane, as much as I love a lot of these top players, as much as I love Sancho, if Man United go for a top attacker, then are they going to go for a centre-back? Because we know the centre-back is a position Manchester United need the most. So that's the thing. If we're only going to get one marquee signing, why is it all of a sudden not a centre-back? Why are we all of a sudden being linked to Haaland, Mbappe, and all of that? Now, talking of centre-backs, and I will share my screen with you in a minute, but there's this story that's come out from the Express, and yeah, it is the Express, so it's not always the most reliable, but it's been quoted by a few other sources, so I'm going to actually read what it says. Shall I share my screen with you? Let me share my screen with you. Wait a sec. No, wait. I'll just read it out. It's here. So the Express said, Manchester United scouting Bayer Leverkusen star Edmond Tapsode. Okay, I don't know if I've pronounced his name right. Edmond Tapsode is a young Bayer Leverkusen star, and we will talk about him. Man United have placed Bayer Leverkusen defender Edmond Tapsode under the microscope after receiving a tip-off from a well-respected English figure in Germany, says the Express. Manchester United have been scouting the Bayer Leverkusen star Edmond Tapsode after receiving a tip-off from a well-respected figure in Germany. The Express say this. They say the 22-year-old who was still playing football in the Burkina Faso, blah, 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 has emerged as one of the brightest defenders in the Bundesliga in the past year. He was obviously brought by Bayer Leverkusen in January 2020 for around £15 million, which could rise to 21 million in add-ons. And obviously he was like 2021 when they paid that much for him. And that's quite a lot for a club like Bayer Leverkusen to pay, showing up what a figure he is. The Bundesliga's club recruitment was enchanted by his confidence bringing the ball out from the back. This article also says that Tapsoda is a player that can bring the ball out from the back. And we know that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer likes to play out from the back, and that Tapsoda could be a target for Manchester United. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my screen up for you guys here. So Tapsoda, okay, so we thought that Man United's number one centre-back priority was Kounde, but they're talking a lot about this Tapsoda guy, and he's obviously 22 years old, from the Burkina Faso, however you say the name, and, he's played a lot in the Bundesliga. He's played 21 matches, which also indicates hopefully he doesn't have a bad injury record. But if we look at his stats, here, I think he's a good young player. I wouldn't complain if we got him. He'd probably cost us around £40 million. That's sort of his value there. And I think he would be cheaper than Kounde. Ideally, I'd rather us go all out for Kounde because I think, we need a centre-back more than anything. But he's a centre-back that if we got, I'd be very happy with. But would Ollie play him? So he's played 29 games this season and he's got 2 goals. And, at a young age, playing that many games for a team like Bayer Leverkusen in the Bundesliga, I think is really good. Obviously, not many clean sheets, but Man United don't keep many clean sheets, so he'll probably fit in perfectly. Well, I'm only joking, but Tapsoda is this player that, could be our new centre-back priority. We've been linked to Kounde, we've been linked to Mings, we've been linked to Varane. Now, let me know in the chat, if you could sign a centre-back, would it be Varane? Would it be Mings? Would it be Tapsoda? Again, I'm sorry if I keep pronouncing his name wrong. Would it be Kounde? Would it be Konote? blah, 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 blah. So, like, obviously, for me, we've been linked to Grealish and Haaland a lot lately and a lot of other players, but I still think a centre-back is a priority, and I do think this Grealish, Haaland and Mbappe stories could be a leak from the club, because surely our club will be going for a big centre-back this signing. If we're only going to have one marquee signing, like the club's saying, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer's coming out saying Man United aren't made of money. If we're only going to make one big signing, surely it's going to be a centre-back, because surely you've seen the mess at the back. Although Ole still likes to play Lindelof and Maguire, which is funny, which brings me to the team news. Now, I think this is really funny, guys, because we're going to talk about this. So one sec. I'm going to share my screen with you again, and we are going to go and look at this. Okay. So we're on the Manchester Evening News website here. Okay, they say Pogba, Martial, and Lindelof fitness update ahead of the Manchester derby. Okay, so this is the fitness update ahead of the derby. And they say, so Simon Peach, obviously very reliable, respectable journalist, says Solskjaer's Manchester United team news update on Lindelof, Martial, and Pogba ahead of the Manchester City game tomorrow. I believe at least Victor should be fine. He was on the bench. He's still feeling the effects of his back, but hopefully he'll be okay. Martial, maybe. I probably would say Paul isn't ready. So they're saying Martial is a maybe for the Manchester derby. What makes me laugh about this article is Victor Lindelof has a back injury. So we thought Eric Bailly was playing against Crystal Palace because he was going to play Bailly. But this makes me feel that maybe even if Lindelof was fit, he would have played Lindelof against Crystal Palace. And maybe he would have lost if he played Lindelof against Crystal Palace. And that does make me laugh. I'm thinking, wait, so the only reason you weren't playing Lindelof is because Lindelof got a back injury. And if Lindelof does have a back injury, why is Lindelof playing so many games over Eric Bailly? We know Bailly's a better centre-back than Lindelof. We know all of that. But for some reason, Lindelof plays a lot more over Bailly, and Lindelof's carrying an injury, which I think is quite weird. But, talking of team news, Martial could be back for the derby, which I do think is very important. So I'm going to have a look at some of your guys' chats. So if you're not watching live, get your thoughts in the comments. If you are watching live, get your chats in. Also, Arsenal drop points to Burnley, which I think is very, very interesting. Do you think we'll get someone from Inter? I doubt it. Martinez is the player we linked to, but I don't think we need a striker. Delort will be sold. Williams can't give Wan-Bissaka competition. Yeah, I think, backup right back is a play somewhere we need to be. Arsenal bad at shooting versus Burnley. I did watch a bit of the game. That goal, that Xhaka pass was awful. Varane, Locatelli, and Sancho would be good to sign this summer. For me, Varane or Kounde or a top centre-back, Sancho and a top CDM like Ndidi would be brilliant. Varane, because of experience, a lot of you guys would bring Varane to Manchester United. And yes, Real Madrid are willing to sell Varane. And obviously, Pogba wants Madrid. Could Man United use Pogba in some Varane swap deal? What do you think? Could Man United use Pogba in Varane swap deal? The thing with Man United is we don't like to do swap deals. But we could do like Lingard for Rice plus cash, okay? And we could do Pogba for Varane. And then if we want to get rid of Hendo, we could use them to reduce the price of Sancho for 30 million. And that would save us so much more business. But Manchester United, they just don't like to do swap deals. Remember, guys, to give this video a like and obviously subscribe if you're new. Williams could be loaned out. Would I take Kounde or Varane? I don't have a preference. I like both. I think Kounde could be better long term, but Varane brings that experience to the back line. But then when you look at Maguire, he is experienced. Like, he's old. Maybe I think Kounde could suit. I think they both would be great. They both would be great. It just depends on price and wages. But I think Kounde could be a better signing long term. But Varane is definitely a better player. Due to COVID, we could get him cheaper. There is COVID tax in the market, but it's Man United. A lot of teams just know that we have money, and even though we don't like to spend it. What do you think about Ethan Laird? I think he's a great player, but I'm not sure if he's ready at this level. Is he much better than Brandon Williams? Max Aarons would be a good backup signing. Yeah, I think Max Aarons or Lamptey would be someone good to give Wan-Bissaka competition. Lamb's not ready. Yeah, Laird not ready. We should sign Max Aarons. I do agree. But Man United hate to spend money. That is a very good point from Musa. See, so obviously the source from Manchester United has said that we're interested in Haaland, we're interested in Kane. Thank you very much for the comment on my shirt. The source from Man United, so Laurie Whitwell, The Athletic, they get their information from Manchester United. And they've said, we're interested in Haaland, we're interested in Kane, we're interested in Grealish, we want Mbappe if he doesn't win the Champions League. But Man United hate to spend money. Sancho was someone we actually wanted, and we wouldn't spend the money on him. Sancho was someone we actually wanted, we wouldn't spend the money on. We don't, they're saying Haaland is our number one transfer priority, but is he actually? Because from what I hear and from what I know from watching Manchester United, Man United's number one transfer priority should not be Erling Haaland. It should be a centre-back. I'd love Erling Haaland at Manchester United. And Erling Haaland's a brilliant player. And even if these sources from the club, even if the club's number one transfer priority is Erling Haaland, and we're only going to sign one marquee player, is Erling Haaland the player Man United should sign? Is Erling Haaland the player that Man United should spend all their funds on when it's clear we need a CDM and it's clear we need a centre-back? Look, if Pogba goes, and I love Pogba, and I think we really have missed Pogba, we sign a top centre-back and then we can afford a player like Erling Haaland. But as Manchester United, we never do more than one big signing a summer. Unless someone like Pogba left, unless Martial left, I don't think we're going to make more than one big signing a summer. Official says Rice for Lingard, not a bad deal. Honestly, Lingard and money for Rice, I think would be a great deal, but would Ed Woodward and the board do it? I think we need a CDM massively. And the thing that worries me about Manchester United is a centre-back we've been linked to a lot of centre-backs, because I think everyone in their right mind knows Man United needs a centre-back. But CDM, Man United have been linked to Grealish, Haaland, Kane, Sancho, Mbappe, and a lot of centre-backs. Tell me the last time Manchester United were linked to a CDM. There was a little bit of story about Lingard for Rice swap deal, but when were Man United last linked to a CDM? Clearly, when we watched Crystal Palace, we knew how badly Manchester United wanted a top CDM, wanted a centre defensive midfielder, how much we needed it. But we're not being linked to them, we're not being rumoured to them, and it makes me think that if the people who run Man United's transfer business, are they stupid? Like, do they think that, a striker is more of a priority than CDM? And now, because we know that we've got Cavani, we know that Martial in his day is a good player, but Cavani and Martial got no service. So even if we get Haaland, he can probably get a few more goals than the others, but can he get many more? Can Haaland hit the goal numbers he hits at Dortmund, considering he'll be living off scraps? And I think to get a striker, to get a top striker at Man United, you need another creative player and you need a CDM. So the striker gets service. And, by the time we sort that out, it'll be 5 seasons ahead with our bloody board. I would take Varane or Ramos as a CDM and Sancho on the right wing. Yeah, I'd take Varane, a CDM, and Sancho on the right wing. I do agree with that. Grealish isn't worth the money. Go for Fabian Ruiz. So the thing with Grealish is, Grealish plays on the left or as a cam. You've got Rashford on the left, you've got Bruno as a cam. Do we want to spend big money on Grealish? As much as a brilliant player Grealish is, do Man United want to spend big money on Grealish when a CDM and a centre-back would be more important? Musa said if Man United are going to sell players, also Martial could be sold. The thing is, Martial, when he's fit, is sitting on the bench a lot. Greenwood's starting to play striker over Martial. Cavani gets in over Martial. When Martial's not fit, he'll still be on the bench, not getting many minutes. Could Martial be leaving in the summer? He's not happy. Is this big Erling Haaland to Man United, Harry Kane to Man United, Kylian Mbappe Man United rumours coming out because maybe Man United are looking at a striker to replace Martial? Are Man United looking to get rid of Martial? Malachi says, yeah, we need to focus on a centre-back CDM right wing. I agree. And then maybe back up right back then striker. Martinez would be like summer 2022. The thing with Man United is, I think we're not going to get much business done this summer. Although we're linked to a lot of names, I think it's in the club, these journalists who are linking us to Grealish, Kane, Sancho, Haaland, get their information from the club. I think the club is leaking that information to journalists to try and, kind of direct the mood somewhere else. There's not a great mood at Manchester United at the moment. So if the club releases a story that we're in for Haaland, we're in for Kane, we're in for Grealish, the mood at Man United's going to get bigger. But the club has done that for 8 years. And I look at Man United and the way Man United approach summers. If I looked at the summer transfer window, who do I think Man United are going to sign realistically? Well, we have to sign a centre-back. So we might sign a centre-back. So say we're going to sign Edmond Tapsoba. He's going to cost us about 40 million. He's our new first choice centre-back target, apparently, but that's from the Express. Not the most reliable. Okay, we spend 40 million on him. That will be our big signing. Donny was our big signing last summer. And what's Donny done? He sat on the bench. Donny was our big signing last summer. He sat on the bench. Now we've got Edmond Tapsode. Man United are like, what can we do? We need a right wing, but we need a striker. They won't even look at centre back. And it's like, you could sign Edmond Tapsode for 40 million, and then you could do Lingard and 40 million for Rice. That's your centre back and your CDM done. You've spent 80 million pounds. We have a net spend of 60 million. Even if we did those 2 signings in, it would probably be a good window for Man United, even though we're not getting Sancho, even though we're not getting Haaland, because we've addressed the 2 positions we need the most and had a net spend of 80 million, which suits the Glazers, and we've got 2 players that we need in. But the thing is, with us being linked to a lot of attackers and us signing one marquee signing, will Man United spend the whole budget on a player like Haaland and not get a centre-back and not get a CDM? Because we will improve with Haaland, but will we improve that much? Because we'll still have our defensive problems, we'll still have our CDM problems. And I think for me, unless Martial goes, unless Pogba goes, I don't think Manchester United should go for a big striker, or I don't think they will. So I do think we will be looking at a Tapsoda, a Jules Kounde, Tyrone Mings even, and then we'll probably focus on an attacker. But I think a lot of who we sign in attack and how much money we spend depends on Martial and Pogba. You know, Rafinha from Leeds could be a cheaper alternative to Sancho, but it's Leeds. They're not going to want to sell us one of their stars, are they? Aaron Stevenson says, I think Bailly our best centre-back. Maguire plays better with him. I absolutely agree. I think Bailly is our best centre-back. They do say Lindelof should be fit for the Man City game, which is a shame because I think Bailly would be better for the Manchester City game because I think we will concede a goal and I think we don't score against the top six and I think we will concede to City, even though they'll be bubble-wrapped, which will be a shame. Locatelli and Zakaria are both good, but I feel like Locatelli would play better alongside Pogba and Bruno. Yeah, you make a point, but the thing is Pogba going to want to stay? You know, Pogba's in Man United. He's saying that the club, you know, we're in a bit of a free fall at the moment without him. Is Pogba going to want to stay? I think I'd love Pogba to stay, but I only want Pogba to stay if he wants to stay because I think we are missing Pogba. We're missing Paul Pogba massively. Although some people won't want to admit it, I don't want to see Fred in the midfield. I want to see Fred and Donny or Pogba and McTominay, in my opinion, because I think we miss Pogba massively. And my only other thing is if we do sell Pogba, we have to replace him. Because Pogba's our only creative player, followed by Bruno. When Pogba doesn't play, we rely on Bruno to do all the creativity. Every bit of creativity we do, we rely on Bruno for. And I don't think that's good for Man United to rely on Bruno so much. But I do think if we had a top CDM, like official says, like Locatelli or Zakaria, they could hold deep. Pogba can actually play box-to-box and not CDM. And Bruno's free, meaning we've got Pogba and Bruno more, we're creating more. And maybe if you get a top CDM, your strikers will get more service. Like Martial, to be fair to him, he's having a poor season, but he's not getting much service. When Greenwood's played as a striker, he's not getting much service. And that's why, for me, a CDM is more important than a striker because you put a CDM deep for Man United, you know, our strikers will get more service if we have a CDM that hold on our own because games are won and lost in midfield. McTominay and Fred do the job of one top CDM. McTominay and Fred do what Kante does. But Kante does it on his own, so Chelsea have two other midfielders. McTominay and Fred have to do it together, so our only other midfielder is Bruno. And because games are won and lost in midfield, and because we almost have one less player in the midfield because we play two holding, you know, we have less of the ball. We can't create as much. We lose games. And I think a CDM would be so important for Manchester United because I do think you get a top CDM, then your strikers are more likely to fire because they're going to have more chances. I have no confidence in the Haaland deal. Look, we're linked to Haaland. We want Haaland. But again, I think it was Christian Falk, who's a reliable journalist when he comes to Germany, says that he doesn't think Man United will sign Haaland. And I do think this whole Man United are in for Haaland so much story has just come from the club to distract us from the fact that we have got the Manchester derby at the weekend. We are favourites to lose. You know, that we are we've won 2 of our last, 8 games. I think a lot of this Haaland, Sancho, Kane, Grealish news is a distraction from the fact that Man United aren't playing well at the moment. And even if this Haaland, Kane, Grealish story is true and it has come from a reliable journalist, so it has come from the club, to say this is true and it has come because it has come from the club, why aren't we looking at a top centre-back? Surely if you watch Man United, as much as we love top attackers, isn't a top centre-back our priority, as I was saying. So would you spend over 150 million at the same money we sold Lukaku? Wait, you would spend over 150 million than spend around the same money we sold Lukaku, and Martinez also around the same much. I don't get what you mean by that comment. I'm a bit lost. If we had a CDM like Prime, Kante, Pogba and Bruno could push forward 100% what Dalla said. Imagine Prime Kante in this Manchester United team. Bruno would probably have more goals and assists, which you wouldn't think is possible, and Pogba would be much more free. And even if we did have a top CDM and we played McTominay, even though McTominay doesn't have creativity, when McTominay plays as a box-to-box, he can get goals. When Fred plays as a box-to-box, he can't get goals. He's useless. I love Fred, but God, he's useless at shooting, isn't he? I do think a tall striker who knows how to score goals would be better for us more than Martinez, basically another Haaland type up front. Well, the thing is, Man United's attackers are very quick, and Cavani's coming as more of a tall physical player, and I did worry that he would struggle because we play counter-attacking football. But I think, you know, a tall striker would be good because you can put them crosses into him and rely to get his head on. I think Martial, I do rate Martial, and I think Martial at his best is a good player when Martial's firing. But, you know, physical presence at striker could be good for Manchester United. But for me, I just want a striker that score goals. I mean, to be honest, I just want new owners for Manchester United. If I was going to have anything, if I change anything about Man United, I'd change the owners. Mo says the Glazers aren't going to give us more than 80 million to spend in the next window. It's a good point. So obviously, Laurie Whitwell, what did Laurie Whitwell say? He basically said, Man United are only going to have one marquee signing. And what I can do is I can just share. I can share my screen with you. Wait. So Laurie Whitwell said that Man United are only going to have one marquee signing, which basically sounds about true, because in the last few transfer windows, COVID tax or no COVID tax. Yeah, this is my notes that I read off for the game, if I can find it. Yeah, okay, here it is. COVID tax or no COVID tax, yeah. Man United have only ever spent about a net spend of 60 to 80 million pounds. You know, the summer we spent 80 million on Maguire, we got over 60 million for Lukaku. So we only really spent 20 million on Maguire and a little bit on James and a little bit on Wan-Bissaka. Last summer, we had a net spend of about 50, 60 million pounds again. So, you know, Haaland will cost us 100 million. Kounde will cost us 60 million. So when he says Man United are only expected to get one marquee signing, I do believe that, you know, that's true. That's true. I do believe Manchester United are only going to get one marquee signing because, you know, we only have a net spend of 60 to 80 million each summer. And I think, you know, although we're being linked to Mbappe, Grealish, Haaland, Sancho, Kane, is that the first choice signing that we want to spend all our budget on? Probably not. That one marquee signing could be 60 million, Jules Kounde, and whatever else we buy could depend on who leaves Manchester United. So I think, for me, I'm going to take a guess at what we're going to do. We're going to have that one marquee signing that's going to be a big signing for 50, 60 million pounds, and that's going to be a centre-back, whether it be Tapsoda, whether it be Jules Kounde, whether we decide we don't want to spend big on a centre-back and we go and waste our money on Tyrone Mings and we just become battling for fourth next season, we will sign a centre-back. But I think the rest of the money that Man United are going to spend won't be on a big player. And I think, you know, half our budget will go on a centre-back. But our budget is probably only 60 million and how much money we get from Pogba, how much money we get from Martial. So we could sign Jules Kounde, but I think the only chance of us actually spending big money on an attacker is if Martial leaves, if Pogba leaves, in my opinion. I don't know what you guys think. Remember to get your comments in the chat. If you're not watching live, remember to get your comments in the comment section. But I do believe that, you know, this news report that Man United are only going for one marquee signing is true. Even though this same journalist, Laurie Whitwell, Athletic, who gets his source from the club, has linked us to Grealish, Mbappe, Haaland and Kane, I think that's Ed Woodward and the club telling him to say that to try and distract Man United fans from the fact that we've been playing poor, negative football lately. And we've not been playing well. But this bit of the story that he says is, I think, is a little bit of realism. This is realism. Sources expect only one marquee signing to arrive at Manchester United in the summer, 2 at a push, depending on player sold. As I was saying earlier, I think we can get one big signing for 60 million, but we only have a net spend of 60 million. So we're only ever going to sign other players, I think, if we sell players. Moore says, what Mbappe is interested in signing? I don't think Mbappe would join Manchester United. I think the Mbappe to Manchester United story being leaked is a little bit of a little bit of a PR spin. I don't think Real Madrid and Barcelona can get Mbappe this summer. And if Mbappe wants to leave, realistically, Chelsea, Man City, and Man United can afford him, but we won't pay the money for him. Are the clubs for him to go to? But I think Mbappe will stay another year at PSG, whether he's happy or not, because I don't think Real Madrid, where he wants to go, can afford him. Barcelona are in a bit of debt. Davy says, I think Sancho should be our first choice in summer because he can improve our attack. I do agree. If I own Manchester United, I go for Sancho. I would want a CDM, so I'd use Lingard in negotiation with Leicester or West Ham to try and get 20 million off Ndidi or Rice, and I'd go for a centre-back like Kounde. But say we only had 100 million budget and we spent Sancho's going to be 80 million, and then we sell Martial, I don't know, for 40 million. Then Rice comes in with the Lingard deal, that's 100 million. Then maybe I'd go for a cheaper centre back than Kounde. But if I was Man United owner, Kounde, Ndidi, Sancho would be my 3 ideal signings. But I know realistically, unless we sell Pogba, unless we sell Martial, and I don't necessarily want us to sell Pogba and Martial, but I think that's the only way that Manchester United will spend big. Sancho over Haaland. I love Haaland, but I think I would take Sancho over Haaland because I think a right wing is a bigger priority than a striker. And a fun fact about Sancho, guys, let me get my screen off. A fun fact about Sancho is no player has created more chances across the top 5 leagues in 2021 than Jadon Sancho. Jadon Sancho has created the most chances in 2021 across Europe's top 5 leagues. Now, I think that is absolutely massive because, why are my doorbells going? Hopefully someone will answer that. I think that's absolutely massive that Jadon Sancho has created the most chances across Europe's top 5 leagues in 2021 because what Manchester United struggled with, we've had 3 0-0s in a row. We're probably going to have a 0-0 or lose to City and probably not score versus City. We need a player that can create chances. We need a chance creator, especially with Pogba out. We're relying solely on Bruno, who I don't think is an out-and-out chance creator, to create chances for Manchester United. So I do think that Sancho should be a priority. I do think a centre-back, a CDM, and Sancho should be a priority. The only thing is, a good centre-back, a good CDM, and Sancho's going to be 80 million. maybe we'll say Sancho 70 million because, you know, we can get a little bit of money off him. We'll say, okay, we spend 40 million on a good centre back. That's 110 million. And we spend another 40 million on Rice because we get 20 million off because of Lingard. That's 150 million. And I think Manchester United have the funds to spend 150 million in the transfer market because we only had a net spend of 60 million last year. Why have we all of a sudden got so little money when we generate so much? But 150 million, okay, we sell Pogba, we get about 50 million for Pogba. That's 100 million net spend. I think 100 million net spend is realistic for Manchester United. But from the comments from Ollie, the board, the Glazers, it doesn't look like that Manchester United want to spend big this summer. Sources from the club have said Man United are only going to get one marquee signing. We don't have the funds to spend big. So as much as that's what we need, will Man United spend big in the summer? Swish Dish said, tactically, Ollie can set our team out to defend. He has mastered the art of collecting nil-nils low. So if we only make one marquee signing, it would definitely be Haaland, a lethal all-round striker. The thing is, if we have Haaland, is he going to get service? Haaland could be called a flop at Man United. Is he going to have service? That is the big question. Davy ADN says, do you think we could get Martinez from Inter and Declan Rice from West Ham? I don't think Martinez will happen, but I think we could use Jesse Lingard in a deal to get Declan Rice. I think we should use Jesse Lingard in a deal to get Declan Rice, but I don't think we will because it's the board, it's Woodward, they hate swap deals. Fernandes, Pogba, Haaland and Sancho in the same team, it would be amazing. Guaranteed treble. It would be amazing. And the thing that's weird is we could have a team of Fernandes, Pogba, Haaland and Sancho if the board backed Ollie, which I think is amazing because we wanted Haaland last January. We were so close to getting Haaland last January, but we didn't. We didn't get Haaland last January because we messed it up. Declan Rice is good, but I want to end up signing the whole England starting 11. Yeah, you make a good point. We do have this thing. We are Brexit FC. We do have this thing for English players. We do love English players. So, yeah, I do agree. The Sancho deal has been delaying for long. I remember we were supposed to sign him last transfer season. Yeah, that's the thing. We were meant to sign Sancho last summer. And obviously, January 2020, we were meant to sign Haaland. If Ed Woodward had got Haaland and Sancho, who Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wanted, alongside with Fernandes, imagine Sancho, Rashford, Haaland, Fernandes, Pogba in the same team. And then we'd be looking at this summer because our attack's sorted saying we only need a centre-back, we only need a CDM. Switch this. How are you coping with Corona, Alice? Are you feeling all right? I'm feeling absolutely fine. Well, I will end the stream in about 5-10 minutes, guys, but feel free to get questions in. But I will go back to sharing my screen with you guys here, and I'll just show you what I've got. So obviously, we have our interest in Jack Grealish. For those who are joining late, I'm just sort of covering the news. Man United still have an interest in Jack Grealish. We're only going to get one marquee signing. And Erling Haaland is Manchester United's prime target up front, but United could be in conversation for Kylian Mbappe too if we fail to win the Champions League. Harry Kane is also admired. And obviously we're scouting Edmond Tapsoda. But yeah, that's just to sum up all the Manchester United news lately. I hope you enjoyed this stream. Thank you for watching very much. Give it a like, give it a subscribe, give it a share. Let me know your thoughts. If you haven't already, hit that like button. But who would I rather have, Haaland or Mbappe? I think probably Mbappe, just because I think he has a bit more creativity in him. And Haaland could be a flop because he might get no service. But thank you for watching. Slap a like on this video as always. Subscribe down below. Get your thoughts in. Hopefully Pogba stays. I think we need Pogba. I'll see you tomorrow for my watch along for the Manchester derby. See ya. Bye.